Hello everyone, Bane here. Today I'll be giving my review on the Humble Choice bundle March 2025. I'm really excited about this bundle and I can't wait to play it. I feel like this last one's bundle was a party pooper for me, but I already have way more hope for this one. As always, if you're not into this sort of content, you can expect a normal gaming video in 2 weeks. But if you are sticking around, thank you and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know what you think of my review or this month's bundle if you'd like, and be sure to check out the timestamps in the description for any specific titles. If any of these games pique your interest, the link will be down below. Alright gamers, stay tuned for my final thoughts in the end and let's get on to the video. Cavern of Dreams is an adorable 3D platformer in the old N64 art style. Just looking at it made me feel really excited. I don't know how much more else I can describe this other than the fact it felt like I was looking at lost media. Even the logo for the game, I thought I really could have gone back in time and held this game years ago. Graphics are spot on, the OST was whimsy and unique, and there are fun abilities you can acquire throughout your time playing the game. The controls weren't bad, but I'm not entirely convinced that they were taking inspiration from the old games for this part of their game. The only issue I had with this was occasionally the ground pound being fickle and some other minor issues, but these are all definitely a skill issue and not on the game itself. There are other characters you meet along the way the further you progress that helps unfold the story. I didn't play long enough to meet some of the individuals I saw in the trailer, but I met quite a few little guys I thought were cute and fun. We, however, play as a little dragon-looking character named Flynn, who is on a quest to find eggs, which is the main plot of the game. These eggs are your siblings, which seem to have scattered around the realm, leaving you to explore, solve puzzles, and traverse a variety of platforms to find them. What I really love about this game is there's no combat. It's not focused on that at all, but rather the things I've just listed. However, this doesn't mean there aren't dangers lurking around. I quickly found out. Falling to your doom is probably going to be the biggest challenge with that in mind. However, this doesn't mean that there isn't a villain for a protagonist, but that's for you to find out for yourself. Gravity Circuit seems to follow the same pattern in trying to bring a newfound look to nostalgic games. It's a 2D retro-inspired platformer full of action and amazing art. I will start with my problem before getting into the game because this is super crucial. It is a game truly made with controllers only in mind. We've had games like this before in the bundles, Blasphemous coming to mind. However, this is on an entirely different level. I had to completely remap every key, and the light at the end of the tunnel is that I actually want to highlight this. The re-key binding everything was surprisingly quite seamless, and although the default keyboard controls are complete garbage, the malleable ability to change everything to your liking was so well made compared to many other games I've played before. But enough of that. This is a world of robots where after a digging operation gone wrong, the world is being ravaged by the virus army. Hostile robots that outnumbered them and armed them began to take over the world. That is until the Guardian Corps, a group of 9 special and powerful heroes, came together and intervened with the threat. We play as Kai, the sole remaining guardian who must protect the city, until you bump into someone who looks familiar. Too familiar. And they aren't on our side. Our next game is Homeworld 3. A real-time strategy game set in space. Not that I've been doing this for a while, but if you know me or have watched my previous reviews, I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to say about this one, and that it is not for me. I'll keep it brief. I quit halfway through the tutorial. I think it was garbage, and I honestly refuse to play more of the game. Obviously, for a review video, you probably want to know more about the game, so I found this really great video done by a guy named Level Cap Gaming who can give you way more information on the game than I ever could or want to. I will link the video down below, and I hope you guys enjoy it because as much as I hated this game, I really liked his video and I thought he explained things really well. The headliner this month is Pacific Drive, a first-person survival game where your only companions are your car, Poppy, and Tobias, the latter two being voices in your radio. The goal of the game, or I suppose the campaign, is to navigate the supernatural land of the Pacific Northwest inside the Olympic exclusion zone. It's a long-forgotten land full of unpredictable obstacles and hostile entities, or rather the land itself is hostile at this point. When I first saw this inside the bundle, I was ecstatic. Not only is this the first game I've ever heard of in my short time making these reviews, but it is also one I've really wanted. In fact, I almost bought it myself the week prior to this coming out, so I'm really glad I waited and we got it this month. The game features great elements of mystery and tame horror, a car you can fully customize yourself, and an interesting story right away. When I first saw this game last year, I assumed you, the player, were the car itself, and had to navigate the game that way. Contrary to my initial belief, you can actually get out of your car, and you need to. This is how you can find scrap, different parts, and an assortment of other things you may or may not need on your journey. I really have enjoyed what I played so far for a good variety of reasons. The game is beautiful and has unique assets. It's engaging for the story and gameplay. The atmosphere inside the game is extremely unique and features a well-made difficulty customization, giving you several options to choose from. I did not feel like the learning curve was hard to pick up. It was really easy actually. However, one thing that was a bit harder was the directions on where/what to do next. They weren't entirely clear for me personally, and I think it could do with some minor adjustment. The resource management is fun, easy to collect, satisfying to use, and god-awful to store. But mostly because I hate limited storage systems that are like this. It leaves me only to assume it is probably even worse in the higher difficulties. But I suppose that's one way they were able to add a challenge to the game, which I'm sure some of you guys will enjoy. Following that fun game is another awesome game, Racine. Racine is a semi-auto battler, deck-building roguelike where you must use precision and strategy in order to win your battles. Now, the way that it is a semi-battler is to be the way they add a unique twist to the combat in the form of active time battles. This is also the point of contention to many for the game, which it seems this is why it has many mixed reviews. Now personally for me, I didn't mind it so much, but I can't and I don't blame anyone who doesn't like this game or doesn't recommend it for this reason. For me, however, I really enjoyed this aspect. Enemies attack on delays, giving you a chance to parry their attacks with your cards. I can also imagine for some, this game would get very repetitive. But for me, the game offers you a variety of different play styles using different cards you can permanently unlock along the way. Or during the course of a run, you can unlock for that run only. There are different monsters with different attack styles and different types of battles along the way. It seemed to me the different colored circles represented varying difficulties of hardness, and some of the random generated circles would have different pop-ups depending on the signal attached to them. This sort of thing isn't unique, and if you've ever played a game in the genre, you've definitely run into a similar system before. For the story, spirits are wreaking havoc on a world abandoned by the gods. Heroes once saved the world from this mess, and things return peaceful. But things do go awry once more, and now us, the player, must save the world from spirits again. Along the way, you can uncover new cards, unlock attributes for your hero, and in every run you can find less permanent things of this nature, but after you die or accomplish your run, you can gain permanent skills. I don't feel as though this game is lacking, and I can't wait to play more. Our next game is Sir Whoopass, Immortal Death. A rather interesting game. You play as Sir Whoopass, a valiant knight who hacks and slashes his way through enemies to make up for sort of being the accidental destroyer of the world. You must wander through the vast lands of Weirdwood and fight foes, solve conveniently placed puzzles, loot treasures, and find artifacts. You can play with up to 4 people, although unfortunately none of my friends have the game, so I could not do this. From my understanding, however, they can join at any time, the inventory is shared, and you can all face the final boss, the Immortal, together. The co-op, however, seems to be Steam limited, so if you have the game on GOG, it looks like you won't be able to play with anyone else. There's also a co-op only achievement, so if you want to 100% the game, you'll want to keep that in mind. It relies heavily on humor, over-the-top, trash art jokes, overemphasizing elements and using the visuals to further help get the point across. It didn't feel like lazy meme references or capitalizing on current trends to get a rise out of the audience, however it definitely takes pull from gaming culture jokes. The dialogue and narrator are heavy on satire, and combining this with flashy visuals, it felt like it was aiming more for politely naughty humor than anything else. Gameplay-wise, it's quite janky, and the combat felt boring. Absolutely zero creativity to me. You and your enemies are given a very limited moveset and abilities. Your armor and weapons are quite classic, a sword for basic attacks, a mace for heavy attacks, and a magic wand that allows you to activate things at a distance. Throughout the game, you can upgrade these weapons and level up along the way, as well as find new cosmetics/armor that have special abilities attached. What I did like about this is how silly they were, and that it not only showed us physically on the player, but on the enemies as well. This game is not trying to be a grandeur revolutionary gaming title, or an in-depth combat-heavy Souls-like with amazing story and visuals. And that's okay. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and albeit having stiff combat, it's playable. It feels more like a smiling nod to some of these great games before turning back and running off into the blazing sunset to be its own thing. I know I personally spent quadruple the price for a game to be much more let down compared to this, and for that I appreciate this game and like it. Following this is Tales of Kenzera Zao, a Metroidvania-style adventure. It takes inspiration from the Bantu people, their culture, and mythology. Obviously, this is not a culture that is typically represented in traditional media of any kind, so it was really cool to get a new story such as this one. The combat in this is fun. There are 2 different sets of stances you can take based on the 2 masks you receive. The Sun mask took advantage of heavier melee attacks, while the Moon mask focused more on lighter ranged attacks. The 2 synergize well and cause the need for you, the player, to in some cases use both of these for combat or puzzles you find along the way. You're locked into a sideways point of view, which I didn't necessarily hate, but I certainly wasn't a fan of. There were times where I felt I couldn't really properly see what I wanted to, and it felt like I was struggling needlessly a bit. The graphics weren't bad, and the characters you interacted with along the way all seemed enjoyable. I haven't played many Metroidvania games at all, so I can't really compare this game to any titles, nor do I know if this is good for the genre. However, I do know that I really enjoyed the game. At first, it was a lot of dialogue that felt endless, but it all actually came together the further I played, and the more lore I unlocked, the more enraptured I became. Alright, this next title is Wild Hearts, a monster hunting role-playing game. It takes place in a land called Azuma, a fantasy world inspired by the feudal era of Japan. This game is not open world, but we are given several large areas to explore and hunt in. We're a nameless hunter that is tasked with fighting down large monsters known as kimono. You're given a variety of weapons to choose to fight with later on, but to start the game you're given a katana and sent on your merry way. The next aspect of this game is a special device called karakuri, an ability that allows hunters to practically materialize contraptions out of thin air. They come in various shapes, sizes, and can help you out on your journey to defeat the kimono. The first one you start out with is a building block that works like an aerial jump pad, but further along you can unlock more of these. It also has a crafting function attached to it somewhat, allowing us to craft campfires, a forge, and so forth. You are able to use these for combat, such as the building block you can stack multiple times to jump off of and get a large powerful attack on the enemy. But this sort of combat to me feels far easier said than done, and I was not able to properly take advantage of this ability. My favorite part of the game was the character customization. A Way to a Man's Heart, or at least this man's heart, is a video game with good character customization, and I loved this one. The characters are beautiful, you're given a ton of options to choose from. The customization was so broad you could edit such a wide variety of things. Even the preset characters look good. I personally chose a preset I thought was gorgeous, and then I made them a little more whimsical since this was a fantasy world. But truthfully, I could do this sort of thing alone in any game for hours. Unfortunately, I had a lot of lag and stuttering at parts even on medium and low, despite all my settings being way higher than the recommended system requirements, leading me to believe this game may not be optimized well. This wasn't as big of an issue for me as it was for many other people, however, as I saw a lot of people mentioning their games kept crashing. However, it was a big enough issue that I noticed it enough to comment on it for the review. When I first saw how negatively reviewed the game was, I thought it might be because the game is bad. But it really seemed to me that the #1 reason for the bulk of these negative reviews are the performance issues. Which, yes, I experienced myself, but I didn't think that they are bad enough to completely overshadow the fact that this game and its story are actually quite good. Alright, before we jump into my final thoughts for this month, please consider giving this video a like if you enjoyed it. This really helps me out with the algorithm. I put at least an hour into each game, some more into others due to tutorial links or trying to get a proper feel for the game. I base my reviews on a few different things and only those things. My time of hands-on gameplay, if I enjoyed my time playing the game, and I try to decide the final placement whether I think it's a good game or not despite my personal feelings. Although, obviously, this is my review. It's gonna be a little biased no matter what. For this bundle, we have another 2 EA keys. Tales of Kenzera and Wild Hearts being on EA rather than Steam. For many people, this is definitely a deal breaker on the bundles. I can't say I'm personally happy with it myself, as I like having all my games on one platform, i.e. Steam. However, the way I look at it is, I'd rather have a game than not one at all. A lot of these games were indie games this month, which I really enjoyed seeing time and time again. I really enjoy supporting small businesses and things of that nature, and playing indie games so frequently now more than I ever have before has been really fun for many reasons. Starting off with my must-plays of the bundles, I'm including Pacific Drive and Racine. I'm including these games because I had so much fun playing these games that I didn't want to put them down. I thought they were beautiful, well-crafted, and deserved to be in this position for my rankings. Pacific Drive was anything but a letdown. This game is captivating, a nice mix of survival, exploration, and automotive strategy. Whether you're leisurely cruising your way on a serene forest drive, or barreling headfirst into a chaotic vortex of anomalies, The game always kept me on my toes and fully invested. This is a must play for anyone who enjoys survival games with a fun twist, and one of the most unique games I think I've ever played before. Racine was a surprise to me. I didn't actually realize it was a deck builder at first, which I notoriously find boring, but I was happily surprised with this game. I really enjoyed the cute pixel art, the soundtrack is elite, and out of any deck builder I've ever played before, this is the most fun I've ever had on one. I could seriously not recommend this game more. Despite all the mixed reviews, I am of the personal belief that you should absolutely give this game a try. In the should play recommendations, I put Cavern of Dreams, Gravity Circuit, Tales of Kenzera, and Wild Hearts. Cavern of Dreams was awesome. I enjoyed the collect them all aspect, and I haven't played a non-violent game in a while, so it was a nice reprieve. The puzzles were fun, and for the price point this is, I would say this game is an absolute steal. Gravity Circuit and Tales of Kenzera both felt well made and were fun to play. But the combat in these games felt more often miss than hit to me, and fell short. Wild Hearts was very enjoyable, but did not woo me. The storage requirement is high, the performance issues were less than ideal, and I enjoyed the character customization more than the game itself, which is definitely not great since these two factors should, at the very least, be on par with one another for a game. My could play recs include Sir Whoopass. This game doesn't try to take it seriously, and neither should we. It's great for what it is, relatively cheap, and good fun for a few hours. I can't see myself going back to play it ever again, but for the time I played it, it was fun. And lastly, in my don't bother with section, I placed Homeworld 3. I really hated this game, and it seems that's the popular consensus as well. OG fans are overwhelmingly vocal about their disappointment with the game. On top of this, I can't even imagine paying $60 or even $30 if it was half off for this game. It was even worse than Pegasus Expedition to me, and at least that game had a decent tutorial and is cheap. And that wraps up my final thoughts on this month's bundle. This was an extremely solid bunch of games to me. I had so much fun playing these and felt like this month I definitely got my money's worth. Do you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts? Let me know what you think about the games or anything I had to say down below. I hope this video helped you decide whether to purchase this bundle or any of the games individually. This month's featured charity is CARE, an organization that focuses on fighting global poverty as well as helping women and girls in need do their best to thrive. And according to the humanitarian organization, they help save lives and assist millions of people find their way to a better life worldwide. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next month.